Far away from Earth, near the edge of known space, there is a small human colony called New Haven. It sits quietly on a green planet with 2 moons, surrounded by farms, small towns, and gentle rivers. About 200,000 people live there. They are farmers, teachers, engineers, and children who have never seen a war in their lives. The colony was built 40 years ago by people who wanted a peaceful life, far from the crowded cities of Earth. They built simple homes, planted wheat fields that stretch for miles, and raised their children under quiet skies. New Haven has no army. It has only a small group of local guards who mostly deal with storms and wild animals, not enemies. On this particular morning, a man named Daniel Reyes wakes up early. He is a school teacher, and today is an important day. His daughter, Mia, is turning 10 years old. He walks into her room and gently wakes her up. "Happy birthday, little star," he says, smiling. Mia rubs her eyes and smiles back. "Are we still going to the lake today, Papa?" "Of course," Daniel says. "Nothing is going to stop us." He has no idea how wrong those words will turn out to be. Outside, the colony is waking up. Farmers walk to their fields. Children run to school with bags on their backs. The town bell rings, marking the start of a normal day. No one notices the small dot appearing in the sky, far above the clouds. But Colony Defense Officer Grace Lynn notices it. Grace works in a small building at the edge of town, watching old radar screens that rarely show anything except passing comets or weather satellites. Today, something is different. A red light blinks on her screen. Then another. Then 5 more. Her hands freeze over the controls. "That's not possible," she whispers. She zooms in on the radar. Large shapes are appearing above the planet, dropping out of what looks like folded space. She has read about this in old books, ships that travel using something called a hyperspace jump. But New Haven has never seen alien ships before, not once in 40 years. She presses the emergency alarm button. Across the colony, sirens begin to wail. People stop walking. Children look up from their games. Daniel Reyes, holding Mia's hand near the lake path, turns his head toward the sky. High above, the clouds begin to part unnaturally, as if pushed aside by giant, invisible hands. And then, one by one, massive shapes appear. They are dark, sharp-edged, and larger than any building in New Haven. They hang silently in the sky, blocking out the sunlight in patches. These ships belong to the Scar Dominion, a powerful alien empire that has already conquered many worlds across the galaxy. The Scar are proud, disciplined, and ruthless. They believe strength is the only law that matters. To them, weaker species exist only to serve or to be removed. Standing on the bridge of the largest ship is Commander Vorak Thane, a tall alien with gray skin, sharp eyes, and a voice that carries authority without needing to be raised. He has conquered 12 worlds in his career. He has never lost a single battle. He looks down at the green planet below through the massive window of his ship and speaks calmly to his officers. Scans show no military presence, no shields, no warships. This will be simple. An officer beside him nods. "Should we begin negotiations, Commander?" Vorak almost smiles. "Yes, let us be polite first." He opens a communication channel, and his voice booms across every screen and radio in New Haven at the same time. In homes, schools, and fields, people freeze as his cold voice fills the air. "People of this colony, I am Commander Vorak Thane of the Scar Dominion. Your world is now within our authority. You will surrender your leadership, your resources, and your technology immediately. Any resistance will be met with total destruction. You have 1 hour to respond." Silence falls over New Haven. Then panic begins. In the town hall, the colony's leaders gather quickly. The colony administrator, an older woman named Helen Voss, stands at the head of the table, her face pale but steady. "We have no weapons to fight something like this," says one council member. His voice is shaking. "We need to contact Earth immediately." "We already have," Helen replies. "But even at maximum speed, any response from Earth will take hours, maybe longer. We are alone right now." "Then what do we do?" another asks. Helen takes a deep breath. "We stall, we talk, we buy time." She activates the communication channel and speaks as calmly as she can manage. "Commander Thane, This is Colony Administrator Helen Voss. We are a peaceful settlement. We have no military. We ask for time to discuss your terms with our people. There is a pause. Then Vorak's voice returns, sounding almost amused. You have 30 minutes now, Administrator. Do not waste it. In the radar station, Grace Lynn watches more red dots appear on her screen. Not just ships in orbit now. Smaller shapes are detaching from the larger ones, moving toward the surface. They're deploying troops, she says under her breath. She grabs her radio. This is Colony Defense. All units prepare for possible ground contact. I repeat, prepare for... Her radio suddenly goes silent. The Scar have jammed all communications on the ground. Meanwhile, near the lake, Daniel Reyes pulls Mia close to him. Papa, I'm scared, she says quietly. I know, sweetheart, he says. But we're going to be okay. Let's go home, all right? Stay close to me. As they hurry back toward town, they pass dozens of other families doing the same, faces filled with fear and confusion. The sky above them remains dark with alien ships, silent and waiting like predators watching prey that cannot escape. Back on Vorak's ship, an officer approaches him. Commander, long-range sensors detected an unusual signal burst just before communications were jammed. It appears the colony attempted to send a message beyond this system. Vorak's eyes narrow slightly. To where? Unknown, Commander. Possibly toward Earth. Vorak considers this for a moment, then waves a hand dismissively. It does not matter. Even if Earth receives it, they have no fleet capable of reaching us in time. Humanity has shown no significant military strength in decades. This is a formality, nothing more. He turns back to the window, watching the green planet below. The 30 minutes pass in tense silence. Families huddle in their homes. Some try to hide in basements. Others simply hold each other, waiting. When the time is up, Helen Voss speaks into the channel one final time, her voice trembling but firm. Commander Thane, our people need more time to prepare for such a decision. We ask you to reconsider. There is a long pause. Then Vorak's voice returns, colder than before. Time is a gift I do not give twice, Administrator. Since your colony refuses immediate cooperation, we will demonstrate the cost of hesitation. Wait, Helen begins, but it is too late. Vorak gives a single quiet command to his fleet. Begin bombardment. Non-lethal zones first. Let them understand their position. High above New Haven, the alien warships open fire. Bright beams of energy tear down from the sky, striking empty fields at the edge of town first. A warning, not yet a killing blow. The ground shakes as explosions rip through open farmland. Smoke rises into the sky in thick black columns. People scream and run. Grace Lynn, still trying to restore communications in her station, watches the ceiling crack from the force of a nearby explosion. In the town hall, Helen Voss grips the edge of the table as the building shakes violently. Get everyone to the shelters, she shouts. Now! But there is nowhere truly safe from ships that can strike from orbit. Daniel Reyes reaches his home just as the first explosion hits the nearby field, the shockwave knocking him and Mia to the ground. He quickly covers his daughter with his body as debris and dust rain down around them. Papa, Mia cries, tears streaming down her face. I'm here, Daniel says, holding her tightly. I'm here, Mia. I won't let go. The bombardment continues for several more minutes, beams of light striking fields, roads, and empty buildings, systematically destroying the colony's ability to resist or communicate, though avoiding the town center itself for now. It is not yet meant to be complete destruction. It is meant to be a message. When the attack finally stops, the silence afterward feels worse than the noise. Smoke covers the sky. Fires burn across the farmland that once fed the entire colony. Somewhere in the distance, a child cries. Vorak's voice returns once more, calm as ever, as if nothing unusual has happened. That was a warning. The next attack will not spare your town. Surrender your colony now, and your people may yet survive. In the ruined town hall, Helen Voss stands slowly, ash covering her clothes, blood trickling from a cut above her eyebrow. She looks at her remaining council members, all of them terrified, all of them looking to her for an answer she does not have. She activates the channel one final time. Commander Thane, We surrender the colony. Please, spare our people. There is a pause. Then Vorak speaks again, and this time, his voice carries something almost like disappointment. A wise decision, though slightly too late for full mercy. Before Helen can respond, dozens more beams fall from the sky, this time striking closer to the town itself, destroying communication towers, power stations, and government buildings. The message is clear. Surrender does not mean the Scar will simply walk away peacefully. It means the price for resistance has already been paid. Amid the chaos, one last transmission manages to escape the jamming field, sent by a young communications technician working desperately in a hidden backup station beneath the town hall. With shaking hands, she types a final message and sends it toward the deep space relay that connects to Earth. The message is short, desperate, and true. This is New Haven Colony. We are under attack by an unknown alien force calling themselves the Scar Dominion. Our defenses have failed. Please, send help. Please save what's left of us. Then the relay station is destroyed, and all communication from New Haven goes silent. Millions of miles away, deep beneath the mountains of Earth, in a hidden command center built decades ago and known to almost no one outside the highest levels of government, an alert light begins to blink on a control panel. A young communications officer named Ryan Okafor notices it first. Sir, we have an incoming distress signal. Origin, New Haven Colony. Standing near the main display, Admiral Elena Cross turns sharply. She is a woman in her 50s, with steady eyes that have seen more conflict than most people could imagine, though not the kind of conflict most people know about. Play it, she orders. The message plays on the main screen, the young technician's frightened voice filling the silent room. This is New Haven Colony. We are under attack by an unknown alien force calling themselves the Scar Dominion. The room falls completely silent as the message ends. For 20 long years, Admiral Cross has overseen a project known only to a small circle of leaders. A secret so heavily guarded that even most of Earth's own military does not know its true scale. After humanity's first violent encounter with hostile alien forces decades ago, a small group of leaders made a quiet decision. Never again would humanity be caught unprepared. While the rest of the galaxy saw Earth as a quiet, unimportant, unthreatening species, deep beneath oceans and hidden in far orbit stations, humanity secretly built an armada beyond anything the galaxy had ever imagined. Admiral Cross closes her eyes for a brief moment as if carrying the weight of every life lost on New Haven. When she opens them again, her expression is calm, focused, and utterly certain. She turns to her staff. Confirm the identity of this attacking force. Cross-reference everything we have on the Scar Dominion. Within minutes, data floods the screens. The Scar Dominion's history of conquest, their military strength, their reputation for ruthless efficiency. It is clear this is not a small threat. It is an empire that has crushed dozens of civilizations without mercy. An officer nearby speaks nervously. Admiral, based on their numbers, they could reach Earth itself within months if they choose to expand further. Admiral Cross nods slowly. Then it's time. She walks to a secured terminal at the center of the room, one that very few hands are authorized to touch. She places her palm against the scanner. A quiet beep confirms her identity. The entire room watches as she speaks 4 words that will change the fate of humanity forever. Wake the Ghost Fleet. No one in the room moves for a moment. Even those who knew the project existed had never actually expected to hear those words spoken aloud. Far across human space, in hidden shipyards built inside asteroid fields, deep ocean trenches, and stations disguised as harmless research outposts, massive doors that have remained closed for decades begin to slowly open. Back near New Haven, Commander Vorak Thane stands aboard his flagship, watching smoke rise from the surface of the conquered colony below. His officers report the operation a complete success, with minimal losses to their own forces. Send our standard message to their homeworld, Vorak orders. Let Earth understand what awaits them if they choose resistance over cooperation. Within moments, a transmission is sent across the vastness of space, carrying Vorak's cold ultimatum directly to Earth's leadership. This is Commander Vorak Thane of the Scar Dominion. Your colony at New Haven has been dealt with due to resistance. Surrender your species' leadership and resources within 3 days, or your homeworld will share the same fate. Do not test us. In the hidden command center on Earth, Admiral Cross reads the message calmly, without a hint of fear in her expression. Ryan Okafor looks at her nervously. Admiral, how do we respond? Elena Cross allows herself the smallest, quietest smile, the kind of smile that carries decades of patience finally reaching its purpose. We don't respond yet, she says softly. Let them believe they already know the answer. Outside, unseen by any enemy eyes, the largest military force ever assembled by human hands begins to stir from decades of silence. Engines that have not been fired in years slowly hum to life. Lights flicker on across thousands of ships hidden throughout human territory. Commander Vorik Thane believes he has already won this war before it has truly begun. He has no idea what is about to rise from the shadows of human space. 3 days pass since Commander Vorik Thane sent his ultimatum to Earth. On his flagship, orbiting the ruins of New Haven, he waits patiently for a response that he is certain will come, a response of fear, surrender, and total submission. He does not know that somewhere far away, deep beneath oceans and hidden inside asteroid fields, something ancient and enormous has just begun to wake up. In the hidden command center on Earth, Admiral Elena Cross stands before a massive screen showing a map of human territory. Small lights blink across dozens of locations, shipyards that have remained silent for years, now slowly coming back to life. Status report, she says calmly. A young officer named Ryan Okafor checks his screen. Admiral, all 17 primary shipyards report successful wake-up sequences. Engine cores are stabilizing, full activation in progress. And the fleet itself? Still, counting, Admiral. The numbers are large, very large. Elena Cross nods slowly. She has waited 20 years for this moment, not because she wanted war, but because she knew deep in her heart that peace built on weakness never truly lasts. She turns to her staff. Send 12 scout ships toward the New Haven system. Standard configuration, minimal weapons. I want to see how the Scar react to a small presence before we show them anything more. Yes, Admiral. Far from Earth, near the edge of the New Haven system, 12 human scout ships slip quietly out of hyperspace. They are old models, built years ago. Nothing special to look at. Their hulls are gray and worn, without any of the impressive designs one might expect from a fleet meant to shock an empire. Aboard one of these ships, a young captain named Sarah Kim watches her sensors carefully. She has trained for this moment for years, though she never truly believed it would come. Captain, Scar scout vessels detected, her tactical officer reports. 3 ships moving to intercept. Sarah takes a breath. Hold position. Do not fire first. The Scar ships approach quickly, confident and unafraid. Aboard one of them, a young Scar officer named Dren Kalsu watches the human ships with something close to amusement. Look at them, he says to his crew. Old, slow, weak. Commander Thane was right. Humanity has nothing. He opens a channel to the human ships, his voice mocking. Turn back now or be destroyed. This is Scar territory now. Sarah Kim's tactical officer looks at her, waiting for orders. Captain? Sarah remains calm. Do not respond. Let them make the first move. Dren Kalsu, growing impatient, gives the order to fire. Bright energy beams streak toward the human scout ships. What happens next surprises everyone watching, including the humans themselves. The scout ship's shields absorb the attack with ease, barely flickering under the impact. Sarah's tactical officer stares at his screen in shock. Captain, our shields barely registered damage. Dren Kalsu, aboard his own ship, frowns deeply. Impossible. Fire again. Full power this time. The Scar ships unleash a stronger barrage. Still, the human shields hold steady, absorbing the assault without breaking. Sarah Kim finally gives her order. Return fire. Minimal power. Let's see what we're really working with. A single, precise beam of energy leaves one of the human scout ships and strikes the lead Scar vessel directly. The result is instant and total. The Scar ship's shields collapse in a single hit, and the ship itself explodes into a bright ball of fire and debris. Dren Kalsu watches in horror as his allied ship is destroyed in seconds. That's not possible. These are old scout models. He orders a retreat, but it is too late. The remaining human ships fire with calm precision, destroying 2 more Scar vessels within moments. The battle, if it can even be called that, lasts less than 3 minutes. Sarah Kim watches the wreckage of the Scar ships drift silently in space. She opens a channel back to Earth. Command, this is Scout Leader Kim. Engagement complete. 3 enemy vessels destroyed. Minimal damage to our ships. On Earth, Admiral Cross receives the report with a quiet nod. Good. Continue monitoring their movements. Do not engage further unless necessary. Aboard his flagship near New Haven, Commander Vorak Thane receives the news of the destroyed scout ships with growing confusion. Explain this to me clearly, he says to his officers, his voice sharp. 3 of our ships destroyed by old human scout vessels. An officer, nervous but honest, replies, Commander, sensor data suggests the human ships carried weapons and shields far beyond anything we expected from their species. Their technology appears advanced. Vorak's eyes narrow. This cannot be humanity's true fleet. They have shown no significant military activity in decades. This must be some kind of trick, or perhaps stolen technology from another empire. He paces slowly across the bridge, thinking. Send a message to Central Command. Inform them of this development. Request permission to bring our full invasion force to Earth's system, just to be certain. His request is quickly approved. The Scar Dominion, confident in its overwhelming numbers, decides to send 20,000 warships, their entire Western fleet, to crush any remaining resistance from humanity once and for all. Back on Earth, Admiral Cross meets with the Terran Assembly, the highest governing body of humanity. The room is filled with representatives from every major human nation, all watching her closely. The Scar Dominion has confirmed they are sending their main invasion fleet, Cross explains. 20,000 warships, according to our intelligence estimates. A representative named Counselor Adebayo leans forward. Admiral, are we truly prepared for a force of that size? Elena Cross allows a small, confident smile. Counselor, we have been preparing for this exact moment for 20 years. Our fleet numbers are considerably larger than theirs. Another counselor, an older man named Counselor Reyes, no relation to Daniel Reyes on New Haven, speaks up. How large exactly, Admiral? Cross pulls up a display showing the full report from Earth's hidden shipyards. The numbers on the screen cause a moment of stunned silence across the entire room. 700,000 warships. Counselor Adebayo stares at the number in disbelief. 700,000? How is this possible? How did we hide something this large for so long? Because we had to, Cross replies firmly. After our first encounter with hostile alien forces decades ago, we understood one simple truth. The galaxy respects strength, not kindness. We built this fleet not to conquer, but to ensure that no one could ever force us into submission again. Counselor Reyes nods slowly. And now that fleet will finally be revealed. Yes, Cross says. Not because we want war, but because the Scar Dominion attacked an innocent colony and demanded our surrender. We will show them exactly what happens when they underestimate humanity. The Council votes unanimously. The order is given. Across human space, hidden shipyards built inside asteroid fields, deep ocean trenches, and disguised research stations begin their final activation sequences. Massive doors, larger than entire cities, slowly grind open. Bright lights illuminate the darkness of space as thousands upon thousands of warships begin to move from their hidden resting places. Aboard one of the largest shipyards hidden deep within an asteroid belt near Jupiter, an engineer named Marcus Chen watches the fleet come to life with tears in his eyes. He has worked on this project since he was a young man, and now, finally, after decades of secrecy, the ships he helped build are finally moving. 20 years, he whispers to himself. 20 years of waiting, and now it begins. Ship after ship emerges from the shadows. Massive dreadnoughts larger than small moons, fast attack cruisers built for speed and precision, support vessels carrying enough firepower to level entire planets if needed. Fleet after fleet joins together, forming a force so large that it stretches across vast distances of space. Admiral Cross watches the reports come in from every shipyard across human territory. Ship counts rise steadily. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 300,000, 500,000. Finally, the last shipyard reports full activation. 700,000 warships ready for deployment. Elena Cross closes her eyes for a brief moment, feeling the weight of the moment settle over her. Then she opens them again, calm and focused as always. Send a message to Commander Vorak Thane, she orders. Let him know we have received his ultimatum. Aboard his flagship, Vorak Thane receives the incoming transmission with a satisfied smile, expecting words of surrender. Instead, Admiral Cross's calm voice fills his bridge. Commander Thane, this is Admiral Elena Cross of Earth's Terran Defense Command. You attacked an innocent colony and demanded our surrender. We do not accept your terms. Vorak's smile fades slightly. You dare refuse? Do you understand what awaits your species if you resist? We understand perfectly, Cross replies, her voice unwavering. Bring your fleet, Commander. We are ready. The transmission ends. Vorak stares at the now silent screen, anger and confusion mixing in his expression. He turns to his officers. They refuse, even after witnessing our destruction of their colony. Have they lost their minds? An officer nearby speaks carefully. Commander, perhaps they believe their scout ship's performance indicates a larger military capability than we initially assumed. Vorak scoffs. A handful of advanced scout ships does not make an empire. Humanity has shown no significant fleet presence in decades. This is simply arrogance or desperation. He straightens his posture, his confidence returning. Prepare our invasion fleet. We will show them the true meaning of Scar strength. 20,000 warships will remind humanity of their place in this galaxy. As the Scar invasion fleet begins its slow, methodical approach toward human space, Admiral Cross stands before a massive display showing the full deployment of humanity's hidden armada. Fleet after fleet moves silently into position, spreading across key defensive points throughout human territory, waiting patiently for the moment they will finally be seen. Ryan Okafor approaches her, his expression a mix of awe and nervousness. Admiral, the Scar invasion fleet has been detected. Estimated arrival at the edge of our territory, 18 hours. Cross nods calmly. Good. Let them come. She turns to address the assembled officers and commanders gathered in the command center, her voice steady and confident. For 20 years we have prepared for this moment in silence. We have built strength not to conquer, but to protect. Today, an empire that believes strength is the only law approaches our home, expecting an easy victory. She pauses, looking around the room at the determined faces of her officers. They will learn today that humanity is not weak. We do not seek war, but we will not kneel before those who demand it through violence and cruelty. Prepare the fleet. Today, the galaxy will finally see what humanity has built in silence. A quiet, determined murmur spreads through the room as officers move to their stations, preparing for what is about to come. Meanwhile, deep in space, Commander Vorak Thane leads his 20,000-ship invasion fleet toward human territory, still fully confident in an easy victory. He gathers his senior officers for a final briefing before the anticipated battle. Remember, he tells them, humanity has shown no significant military presence in decades. Whatever advanced technology their scout ships possess, it cannot possibly extend to a fleet of any meaningful size. This will be a swift, decisive victory. One of his officers, a cautious commander named Ressa Vale, speaks up hesitantly. Commander, should we not consider the possibility that humanity has been hiding something larger? Their scout ship's performance was unusual. Vorak waves off her concern. Caution is wise, Commander Vale, but excessive caution breeds hesitation, and hesitation breeds defeat. We move forward as planned. Ressa Vale nods, though a small doubt lingers in her mind as she returns to her station. As the massive Scar fleet continues its approach, sensors aboard the lead ships begin to pick up unusual readings from the edge of human territory. Small blips at first, easily dismissed as sensor errors or minor debris. Then more blips appear, and more, and more. An officer aboard Vorak's flagship stares at his screen, his voice trembling slightly as he reports his findings. Commander, sensors are detecting an extremely large number of ship signatures ahead of our fleet. Vorak frowns. How large? The officer hesitates, checking his readings once more before responding. Sir, our sensors are indicating approximately 700,000 individual ship signatures. The bridge falls completely silent. Vorak stares at the officer, his expression unreadable for a long moment. Then he laughs, a short, sharp sound devoid of humor. Impossible. Faulty sensors, clearly. Recalibrate your equipment and report again. The officer quickly rechecks his systems, his hands shaking slightly as he confirms the readings once more. Commander, the readings are consistent. Multiple independent sensor arrays confirm the same number. Vorak's confident expression begins to crack for the first time since this campaign began. He turns to look out the massive window of his flagship, staring into the darkness of space ahead, where nothing yet appears visible to the naked eye. But something enormous is waiting for him there, hidden just beyond the edge of detection, ready to reveal itself at exactly the right moment. Ressa Vale approaches him quietly. Commander, perhaps it would be wise to reconsider our approach. Vorak remains silent for a long moment, his mind racing through possibilities he had never truly considered. Finally, he speaks, his voice quieter than before. Continue forward. We have come too far to retreat now. If humanity truly possesses such a fleet, we will face it as Scar warriors always have, with strength and honor. The massive invasion fleet continues its advance, unaware that it is moving directly toward the largest military force ever assembled in human history, patiently waiting in the silent darkness of space. The Scar invasion fleet moves steadily forward through the darkness of space, 20,000 warships spread across a formation many kilometers wide. Commander Vorak Thane stands on the bridge of his flagship, his eyes fixed on the empty space ahead, where sensors claim an impossible number of enemy ships are waiting. Distance to detected signatures? He asks quietly. 2 hours, Commander, an officer replies. Vorak nods, saying nothing more. Around him, the bridge crew works in tense silence. No one speaks unless necessary. The confidence that once filled this ship now feels thin, stretched over a growing sense of unease. Commander Ressa Vale stands near her own station, watching Vorak carefully. She has served under him for many years, through many campaigns, and she has never seen him this quiet before a battle. Commander, she says softly, if the sensor readings are accurate, should we not send a scout ahead first? Vorak considers this for a moment, then shakes his head. No. If we show hesitation now, it will only weaken the resolve of our fleet. We continue as planned. Ressa nods, though doubt still lingers in her mind. Far ahead, hidden in the vast darkness of space, Admiral Elena Cross stands aboard her command ship, the Sentinel, watching the approaching Scar fleet on her main display. Around her, 700,000 human warships wait in complete silence, spread across a massive formation designed to surround the enemy from every direction the moment they arrive. Status of all fleet groups? She asks calmly. All groups report ready, Admiral, Ryan Okafor replies, standing beside her. He has been promoted recently, now serving as her personal communications officer. Formation is holding steady. No detection from enemy scanners yet. Cross nods. Her plan is simple but effective. Allow the Scar fleet to advance fully into position before revealing the true scale of humanity's forces. By the time the enemy realizes what they are facing, retreat will no longer be an option. Aboard one of the forward ships, Captain Sarah Kim watches her own screens carefully. She has been given command of a larger cruiser now, following her earlier success against the Scar scout ships. Beside her, a new tactical officer named Lieutenant James Park monitors the enemy fleet's approach. They're moving right into the center of our formation, Park reports. No signs of detecting our full numbers yet. Good, Sarah replies. Let's keep it that way for as long as possible. 2 hours pass in tense silence as the Scar fleet continues its advance. Finally, Vorak's sensors detect something new. Faint shapes appearing at the very edge of detection range, scattered across the darkness ahead. Commander, an officer reports. Visual contact established. Enemy ships confirmed at extreme range. Vorak leans forward slightly, his eyes narrow as he studies the growing dots on his screen. Numbers? The officer hesitates before answering. Still, climbing, Commander. We are now reading over 100,000 confirmed signatures, and the number continues to increase. The bridge falls silent again. Somewhere behind Vorak, a young officer whispers something under his breath. A quiet prayer in a language older than the Scar's current empire. Vorak straightens his back, refusing to show fear in front of his crew, though his mind races with growing concern. Continue forward. We have faced larger enemies before. Ressa Vale steps closer to him. Commander, with respect, we have never faced an enemy fleet of this scale. Perhaps it would be wise to request reinforcements before proceeding further. Vorak's jaw tightens. Requesting reinforcements now would take days we do not have. We continue as planned. Scar warriors do not retreat from a battle simply because the numbers appear unfavorable. Ressa says nothing more, though her expression makes her doubts clear. As the Scar fleet moves deeper into the trap, human ships begin to power up their systems across the entire formation. Aboard the Sentinel, Admiral Cross watches the final positioning reports with quiet satisfaction. They are fully within our formation, Ryan Okafor confirms. All exit routes are covered by at least 3 fleet groups. Cross nods slowly. Reveal our full numbers. Across the vast darkness of space, thousands upon thousands of human warships suddenly activate their running lights and weapon systems simultaneously. What was once empty, silent space transforms in an instant into a massive wall of steel and light, surrounding the Scar fleet from every direction imaginable. Aboard his flagship, Vorak Thane watches in stunned silence as his sensors finally reveal the full truth. Ship after ship appears on his screen, stretching in every direction as far as his instruments can detect. 700,000 warships. The confirmed number appears clearly on his main display. Impossible to dismiss any longer. For a long moment, no one on the bridge speaks. Vorak stares at the screen, his mind struggling to process the sheer scale of what surrounds his fleet. 20,000 Scar warships, once considered an overwhelming force capable of conquering entire star systems, now appear as a small, isolated group trapped within an ocean of enemy ships. This cannot be, he finally whispers. Ressa Vale stands frozen beside him, her earlier doubts now confirmed in the worst possible way. Commander? Orders? Vorak does not answer immediately. He continues staring at the screen, watching human ships slowly tighten their formation, cutting off every possible route of escape. A communication request appears on his console. He hesitates, then accepts it. Admiral Elena Cross's calm face appears on his screen. Commander Vorak Thane, you are now completely surrounded. I ask you, before this becomes a battle neither of us truly wants, to reconsider your position. Vorak's pride flares despite the situation. You expect me to surrender simply because of your numbers? Scar warriors do not fear death. Cross's expression remains steady, without anger or triumph. I am not asking you to fear death, Commander. I am asking you to consider the thousands of lives under your command, and the innocent people your empire has already harmed. This does not need to end in complete destruction. Vorak's hands clench tightly at his sides. Old pride, decades of Scar tradition and personal honor all fight against the logical part of his mind that clearly understands the impossible odds now facing him. Finally he speaks, his voice tight with restrained anger. We will not surrender. If this is to be our final battle, we will fight it as true Scar warriors. Cross nods slowly, a hint of sadness crossing her features. Then I am sorry, Commander. We did not want this outcome. The transmission ends. Aboard the Sentinel, Admiral Cross turns to her officers, her expression now hardened with resolve. They refuse to stand down, begin the engagement, minimize casualties where possible, but neutralize their fleet completely. Understood, Admiral, Ryan Okafor replies, relaying the order across the massive human formation. Across the vast battlefield, human ships begin their coordinated assault. Unlike a chaotic battle of individual ships fighting independently, humanity's fleet moves with terrifying precision, coordinated by advanced systems that allow thousands of ships to act almost as a single unified force. Aboard Vorak's flagship, officers scramble to organize a defense, but confusion and fear spread quickly through the fleet as they realize the true scale of what they face. Multiple ships taking direct hits, an officer shouts, shields failing rapidly across our outer formation. Vorak watches his tactical display in growing horror, as ship after ship within his fleet begins to disappear from the screen. destroyed with a speed and precision his forces cannot match. "Return fire! All ships target the nearest enemy vessels," he orders, desperation creeping into his voice for the first time. Scar ships fire back as ordered, but their weapons, once considered powerful enough to conquer entire star systems, seem almost harmless against the advanced shielding technology of the human warships. Where Scar weapons manage to land direct hits, human ships absorb the damage with only minor system fluctuations. Aboard her cruiser, Captain Sarah Kim watches the one-sided battle unfold with a strange mixture of relief and sadness. She understands the necessity of this fight, but the sheer scale of destruction being inflicted upon the enemy fleet still weighs heavily on her. Enemy ships attempting to break formation and retreat, Lieutenant Park reports. "Do not let them escape to warn others of our full capabilities," Sarah orders reluctantly. "Target their engines only where possible. Minimize unnecessary casualties." Across the battlefield, human ships methodically disable Scar vessels, targeting engines and weapon systems rather than destroying ships outright wherever tactically possible, following Admiral Cross's earlier orders to minimize total casualties despite the overwhelming advantage humanity holds. Aboard his flagship, Vorak Thane watches in growing despair as his once mighty fleet crumbles around him. Ship after ship reports critical damage, engines failing, weapons offline. Within 30 minutes of the battle's start, more than half of his 20,000 ship fleet has been rendered completely helpless. Ressa Vale approaches him, her expression grim but resolute. "Commander, our fleet cannot continue like this. Further resistance will only result in complete annihilation." Vorak stares at the tactical display, watching the last of his defensive formations collapse under the relentless human assault. His pride wars fiercely against the growing, undeniable reality of their situation. Finally, his shoulders slump slightly, years of unquestioned confidence crumbling in the face of undeniable defeat. "Open a channel to Admiral Cross," he says quietly. Moments later, Cross's calm face reappears on his screen. "Commander?" she asks simply. Vorak takes a deep breath, forcing the words out despite the bitter taste they leave in his mouth. "We surrender. Cease your attack. I ask only that you show mercy to my surviving crew." Admiral Cross nods slowly, her expression softening slightly. "Order given. All fleet groups, cease fire immediately." Across the battlefield, human ships instantly halt their assault, weapons falling silent in perfect unison. The remaining Scar ships, battered and broken, drift silently amid the wreckage of their once proud invasion force. As the guns fall silent, Vorak Thane stands motionless on his bridge, staring at the devastation surrounding his fleet. Of the original 20,000 warships, fewer than 2,000 remain capable of any meaningful function. Ressa Vale stands quietly beside him. "Commander, what happens now?" Vorak does not answer immediately. His mind struggles to comprehend the scale of humanity's hidden strength, a strength his entire empire had dismissed as impossible for decades. Finally, he speaks, his voice quiet and hollow. "Now, Commander Vale, we learn exactly how badly the Scar Dominion has misjudged this species." Aboard the Sentinel, Admiral Cross watches the aftermath of the battle with quiet solemnity. Despite the overwhelming victory, there is no celebration among her crew, only a shared understanding of the seriousness of what has just occurred. "Prepare to receive Commander Thane's formal surrender," she orders, "and begin recovery operations for any survivors among the enemy fleet." Ryan Okafor nods, relaying the orders quickly. As human recovery ships move carefully among the wreckage, collecting survivors from disabled Scar vessels, Admiral Cross turns to gaze silently at the vast fleet still stretching endlessly across the darkness of space around her. She knows this victory, though necessary, marks only the beginning of a new chapter for humanity, one where the entire galaxy will soon learn the truth about the species they once dismissed as weak and insignificant. Far away, aboard a small transport ship traveling quietly through the recovered wreckage field, a message begins transmitting automatically toward Scar Dominion Central Command, carrying with it the shocking truth of what has just occurred, a truth that will soon spread fear and uncertainty throughout the highest levels of Scar leadership. Somewhere among the vast Scar Dominion, in a location far from this battlefield, someone receiving that message will soon have to decide exactly how the Empire responds to a species they no longer fully understand, and whether pursuing further conflict against such an enemy is truly worth the price they have already paid. Deep within Scar Dominion territory, on a planet covered by towering black spires and endless gray cities, the central command chamber sits in absolute silence. This is the heart of the Scar Empire, where the highest leaders of the Dominion make decisions that affect thousands of worlds. Grand Overlord Kesseth Drall, the supreme leader of the Scar Dominion, sits at the head of a long stone table, surrounded by his most senior commanders. His expression is unreadable as he watches the transmission that has just arrived from the wreckage of Vorak Thane's fleet. The message plays out in full detail: the massive human fleet, the complete collapse of the Scar invasion force, and finally, Commander Thane's own voice, tired and defeated, confirming his surrender. When the message ends, the chamber remains silent for a long moment. Finally, one of the senior commanders, an older Scar named Toth Vandrik, speaks carefully. Grand Overlord, this cannot be accurate. 20,000 warships, defeated by a species we considered primitive just decades ago. Kesseth Drall does not answer immediately. He stares at the frozen image on the screen. Thousands upon thousands of human warships stretching endlessly into the darkness of space. Bring me everything we know about this species, he finally says, his voice low and controlled. Everything. Their history, their technology, their leadership. I want to understand exactly what mistake we have made. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Elena Cross stands before the Terran Assembly once again, delivering her full report on the battle's outcome. The Scar invasion fleet has been completely neutralized, she explains calmly. 18,000 of their 20,000 warships were disabled or destroyed. We have taken thousands of prisoners, including Commander Vorak Thane himself. Counselor Adebayo leans forward, his expression serious. And our own losses, Admiral. Cross allows herself a small, tired smile. Minimal, Counselor. Fewer than 200 ships suffered significant damage. No human vessels were lost. A murmur of quiet relief spreads through the assembly room. Counselor Rhea speaks next, his voice thoughtful. What happens now, Admiral? Will the Scar Dominion retaliate? Cross considers the question carefully before answering. That depends entirely on their leadership's response. We have shown them the cost of aggression. Whether they choose further conflict or seek peace remains to be seen. And if they choose war? Adebayo asks quietly. Cross's expression hardens slightly, though her voice remains calm. Then we will be ready, as we have always been. But I do not believe they will choose that path, not after witnessing what remains of their invasion fleet. Aboard a heavily guarded human medical vessel, Commander Vorak Thane sits quietly in a secure holding room, his once proud posture now noticeably diminished. The door opens, and Admiral Elena Cross enters, accompanied by 2 guards who remain near the entrance. Vorak looks up as she approaches, his expression unreadable. Admiral Cross, he says simply. Commander Thane, she replies, taking a seat across from him. I trust you have been treated fairly? Better than I expected from a species I once considered beneath consideration, he admits, a hint of bitterness in his voice. Cross studies him carefully for a moment. I did not come here to gloat, Commander. I came to understand. Why did New Haven have to suffer such destruction? The colony posed no threat to your empire. Vorak's jaw tightens. The Scar Dominion believes strength must be demonstrated clearly without hesitation. A species unwilling to submit must understand the consequences immediately, or risk encouraging further resistance elsewhere. And has this philosophy served your empire well? Cross asks quietly. Vorak does not answer immediately. He looks down at his hands, considering her question seriously for the first time. For centuries, yes, until today. Cross leans forward slightly. Commander, I did not want this war. My people did not build our fleet to conquer others, only to ensure we would never again be forced into submission by those who believe cruelty is the only path to power. If your empire is willing to consider peace, we are willing to listen. Vorak studies her carefully, searching for any sign of deception in her expression, but finding none. You speak as though victory has made you generous. Victory has made us cautious, Cross corrects gently. We understand now, more than ever, the responsibility that comes with the strength we have built. We do not wish to become the very thing we fought against. For the first time since his capture, Something shifts in Vorek's expression. Not quite respect, but perhaps the beginning of understanding. I cannot speak for the Grand Overlord's decision, but I will relay your words honestly, should the opportunity arise. Cross nods, standing slowly. That is all I ask, Commander. Back within Scar territory, Grand Overlord Kesseth Drall reviews the extensive reports gathered on humanity's history, technology, and hidden military capabilities. The information paints a troubling picture, a species that endured early conflicts with hostile powers, then quietly, patiently built the strength necessary to ensure their own survival, all while appearing weak and unprepared to the rest of the galaxy. They hid this fleet for 20 years, Toth Vandrik says, studying the same reports. An entire armada, larger than any single fleet in the galaxy, hidden in complete secrecy. Kesseth Drall nods slowly, his expression thoughtful rather than angry. Patience such as this suggests a species far more disciplined than we assumed. Perhaps our judgment of humanity's character was as flawed as our judgment of their military capability. Another commander, younger and more aggressive, speaks up sharply. Grand Overlord, surely we cannot simply accept this defeat without response. Our reputation across the galaxy will suffer greatly if word of this battle spreads unchecked. Kesseth Drall considers this carefully. And what would you suggest, Commander Rask? Another invasion fleet larger than the last, only to suffer the same fate, or worse? Rask hesitates, clearly not having considered a definitive answer beyond his initial outrage. Kesseth Drall continues, his voice calm but firm. Pride has driven this empire's decisions for centuries, and it has served us well against weaker, disorganized species. But humanity has proven something today that we cannot ignore. They possess both strength and remarkable discipline. To continue this conflict without careful consideration would be reckless, not brave. He rises slowly from his seat, addressing the entire chamber. Prepare a diplomatic delegation. We will meet with Earth's leadership directly to determine the true extent of their strength and intentions before deciding our empire's next course of action. Several days later, a Scar diplomatic vessel arrives quietly at the edge of human territory, escorted carefully by a small contingent of human warships. Aboard this vessel travels Toth Vandrik, chosen personally by Kesseth Drall, to negotiate on behalf of the Scar Dominion. The meeting takes place aboard the Sentinel, in a neutral conference room specifically prepared for diplomatic discussions. Admiral Cross sits across from Toth Vandrik, both surrounded by their respective advisors. Ambassador Vandrik, Cross begins formally. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Vandrik nods respectfully, though his expression remains guarded. Admiral Cross, the Grand Overlord wishes to understand humanity's true intentions following recent events. Do you seek further conflict, or is peace still a genuine possibility? Cross folds her hands calmly on the table. Ambassador, humanity did not seek this war. We built our fleet not for conquest but for protection, after learning through painful experience the dangers of appearing weak to hostile powers. Our intention has never been domination, only survival and peace on our own terms. Vandrik studies her carefully. Yet you now possess a fleet larger than any single force within the Scar Dominion. Such strength inevitably invites temptation toward expansion. Cross meets his gaze directly. Strength without wisdom leads only to further suffering, Ambassador. We have learned this lesson clearly through the actions of your own empire. We do not intend to repeat that same mistake. Vandrik remains silent for a long moment, considering her words carefully. The Grand Overlord will require concrete assurances, not merely words, before considering lasting peace between our peoples. Then let us discuss terms, Cross replies evenly. Humanity requests full reparations for the destruction inflicted upon New Haven Colony, along with a formal treaty ensuring no further aggression against human territories or allies. In return, we offer peaceful coexistence, open trade opportunities, and mutual non-interference. Vandrik considers this proposal thoughtfully. These terms seem reasonable given the circumstances. I will relay them to the Grand Overlord for his final decision. Back on New Haven Colony, weeks after the devastating attack, recovery efforts continue steadily under the protection of human military forces stationed nearby. Daniel Reyes walks through the rebuilding town center, holding his daughter Mia's hand as workers repair damaged buildings around them. Papa, look, Mia says excitedly, pointing toward a group of engineers installing new communication equipment. They're fixing the town hall. Daniel smiles gently, relief evident in his expression. Yes, sweetheart. Things are slowly getting better. Nearby, Colony Administrator Helen Voss speaks with a visiting military officer, discussing ongoing reconstruction efforts. The reparations promised by the Scar Dominion should arrive within the month, the officer explains. Full compensation for infrastructure damage, along with additional support for affected families. Helen nods, though her expression remains cautious. And guarantees against future attacks? The peace treaty currently being finalized includes strict provisions against further aggression, the officer confirms. Admiral Cross has ensured New Haven's protection remains a top priority moving forward. Helen looks around at the slowly recovering town, watching children playing once again in areas previously scarred by battle. Perhaps some good can yet come from such tragedy, she says quietly. Back within Scar Dominion territory, Grand Overlord Kesseth Drall reviews the proposed peace terms carefully, weighing the implications of accepting humanity's conditions against the potential consequences of renewed conflict. Toth Vandrick stands before him, awaiting his decision. Grand Overlord, humanity's terms appear fair given the circumstances of our aggression. Continued conflict risks further humiliation and potentially far greater losses. Kesseth Drall remains silent for a long moment, staring thoughtfully at the detailed reports spread across his table. Finally, he speaks, his voice measured and deliberate. Accept their terms. Full reparations, formal peace treaty, and diplomatic recognition of humanity's sovereignty. He pauses briefly before continuing. But send word quietly throughout our empire and allied territories. Humanity is no longer to be considered weak nor easily provoked. Vandrick nods respectfully. As you command, Grand Overlord. Word of the peace treaty and humanity's decisive victory spreads rapidly throughout the galaxy, reaching countless other species and empires who had previously viewed Earth as an insignificant, unthreatening presence. Overnight, humanity's reputation shifts dramatically, from a species easily dismissed to one carefully respected, and in some cases cautiously feared. Back on Earth, Admiral Elena Cross stands once more before the Terran Assembly, delivering her final report on the successful resolution of the conflict. The Scar Dominion has formally accepted our peace terms, she announces calmly. Full reparations for New Haven Colony have been guaranteed, along with a binding treaty ensuring no further aggression against human territories. The assembly room fills with quiet murmurs of relief and cautious celebration. Counselor Adebayo speaks up, his expression thoughtful. Admiral, this victory changes humanity's position within the galaxy significantly. How do we proceed from here? Cross considers the question carefully before responding. Carefully, Counselor. Strength alone does not guarantee wisdom. We must ensure that the power we now hold is used responsibly, to protect and to maintain peace, not to dominate others as the Scar Dominion once did. Counselor Reyes nods in agreement. A wise approach, Admiral. Perhaps humanity's true strength lies not merely in our fleet, but in how we choose to use it. Cross allows a small, genuine smile. Perhaps, Counselor. Perhaps that is exactly the lesson this entire galaxy needed to witness. Later that evening, Admiral Cross stands alone on an observation deck, watching Earth slowly rotate beneath the stars. Ryan Okafor approaches quietly, standing respectfully beside her. Quite a day, Admiral, he says softly. Cross nods, her expression thoughtful. 20 years of preparation, all leading to this single moment. I only hope we have chosen the right path forward. You saved countless lives today, Ryan reassures her. Both human and Scar. That must count for something. Cross turns to him, her expression softening slightly. It counts for everything, Ryan. That is precisely why we built this fleet. Not for conquest, but to ensure that such choices remain possible. She looks back out at the stars, her thoughts drifting toward the vast, uncertain future now stretching ahead for humanity. The galaxy has learned today that humanity is far stronger than they ever imagined, she says quietly. Let us ensure they also learn that our strength comes paired with wisdom, restraint, and genuine hope for peace. Ryan nods silently, standing beside her as they both watch Earth continue its quiet, steady rotation beneath the vast, endless darkness of space. No longer hidden, no longer underestimated, but finally standing openly among the stars as a species prepared, both in strength and in spirit, for whatever challenges the future may bring. The end.